North Jersey 1500 WGHT.
Pretty cool.
Here are the nominees for the Best Vocal Performance Female.
That ain't no way to treat a lady, no.
Helen Reddy, Ain't No Way to Treat a Lady. Janis Ian at 17. Olivia Newton-John, Have You Never Been Mellow? Linda Ronstadt, Heart Like a Wheel. Judy Collins, Send in the Clowns. And the winner is, at 17, Janis Ian. Thank you. It's been a long time. Thank you.
Good. There you go. Going down memory lane at 8:37 on WGHT, North Jersey's radio station. Jimmy Howes and Greta Latona, and joining us today, Janis Ian,
Hi,
American
Greta.
songwriter, singer. You've done it all.
Wow.
Author, publicist. How are you today? Thank you for taking the time to join us.
I'm good. I didn't realize that you guys were so close to the Oranges. You know, I grew up in East Orange.
There you go, a New Jerseyite. That means
Totally. My family are still all there.
you're tough as nails then. You're tough.
Uh-huh.
Hey, Janice, the reason why we before we talk about your book, the reason why we played that is because of all the big names that you beat out that year for the
Pretty
for the
amazing group, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Feels
Helen
like
Reddy,
this year's Grammy.
Olivia Newton-John, Linda Ronstadt, and now it was like an instant replay, right, Gret, this year?
You did it again almost 40 years later.
No,
You got
I had
another
never-
one.
I had never thought of it that way. Most of those people are people I know, like Linda and colleagues. Judy Collins and I have toured together a bunch. Captain and Tennille, I did some work with him as a producer for a while. So they're people I know and people I respect. And the same thing happened this year. You're right. I hadn't even put it together, but I was up against the First Lady and Bill Clinton and Rachel Maddow and Ellen DeGeneres. So
Amazing.
that's a pretty amazing group.
And you got the Grammy Award for the Best Spoken Word Album for your autobiography, Society's
did.
Child.
And I'm sure they were as shocked as I was.
Some people just got it, and you got it. And we're
Well, I think, 20, 30 years between Grammys is enough.
well, hopefully you'll get another one soon, because I did some reading that you're working on other stuff, too, now.
A ton of other stuff, yeah. I just finished telling my partner that next time she hears, I've got this great idea come out of my mouth, she should just smack me.
Why? Is it a lot of work to just go forward with it? You need to rest?
Well, I just have these great little ideas. Like I had this great idea that I would sell some of my old guitars that I never play anymore to finance a couple of projects I want to do. And next thing I knew, there were 12 guitars, and they were all walking out of the house, and I was having to write descriptions and figure out what albums they were on.
Oh, boy.
Or I had this great idea for an auction to benefit a foundation that we run. And next thing I knew, I was getting contributions from George R.R. Martin and Orson Scott Card and Jane Yolen, and having to follow up on all of that. Just seems like great ideas have a lot of time consumption.
Do you still have the guitar you played on Saturday Night Live?
Wow, that little Martin. Yes, I do.
Wow, that's the one I want. Oh,
You do?
what foundation?
Let us know when you're bidding that.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, that's one of the ones that stays at home,
that's probably $1 million guitar now. What foundation are you talking about?
My partner and I run something called the Pearl Foundation, which is named after my mom, and we endow scholarships for what is politely called returning students, but is actually older students. We have 5 scholarships running around the country now, and it's totally funded by sale of my merchandise and my fans. And we've given away almost $750,000 so far.
Wow. Wow.
It's a cool thing to be involved with. So if you go to my website, there'll be an announcement when we start the auction and all of that.
Oh, thank you for that. And you know what? We're here with The Tiny Mouse, your very first children's book that is just a witty little story. First, I need to ask you, I know you did some work with Sesame Street behind the scenes and things
I
like
did.
that. Now, did that inspire the book? Is this something that's always been on your list that I wanted to write a book, a children's book? Or was this something that you just woke up one day and said, you know what, I'm going to write this story?
It was actually for a project of a tiny boat, honestly, that went down the Thames River in the UK as part of the Olympics. And they asked 11 songwriters from all around the world to contribute songs that they could play as they went down this river.
Really?
And each song had to be about a little piece of wood that an artist had contributed. And they sent me a photo of the tiny mouse carving, and I fell in love. So I wrote it, and then a friend of mine sent it to Lemnis Scott Publishing, and they sent it to the Schuberts, the illustrators. And the Schuberts fell in love with it and agreed to do it, even though they'd never done anyone else's book but their own. So it was all just a series of circumstances that wound up being wonderful.
And it was a series of firsts. Like you said, it was your first children's book.
Oh,
And the illustrators, it was the first time they did a book for someone else, like you said, other
You're
than
absolutely
themselves.
Right. Greta, I need you to just come and take over my press.
But it's just a delightful book. The illustrations are just so calming, and it's just a witty little story. And what is unique about it is there is a CD of you singing the story, and there are 3 different versions where kids can be really introduced to music on the folk level, on the singing level, piano level, the guitar level. It's just a great piece all together. And
thank you for recognizing that.
My
dad was a music teacher.
Oh, really?
Yes, and he believed firmly that we should sing because it makes our hearts feel good.
And it's something that parents can do, grandparents can do with their children. It's like an adventure together, like the story itself is an adventure in itself.
Absolutely. That's why we put the karaoke version on, because I really wanted, like the tinymouse.com website says, I wanted children to feel like they could make their own little videos, they could make their own little records, they could put it up on YouTube, and they could just have a good time with the music.
And that's what I want to go into a little bit more. The Tiny Mouse, the website is thetinymouse.com, and there are free downloads there. There are interviews with the Tiny Mouse up there.
Absolutely.
And it's just an interactive thing where kids can put their own stuff up there as well. So it is just like a full circle type of an activity book for 2013. Like when we did kids, we had sticker books and we had, coloring books. This is an interactive way now for kids to be involved with a book, and reading, of course, is so important. Whatever you read.
Well, that's the thing. If you can get a kid interested in reading, then it shows them such a bigger world than any of us can possibly inhabit during our own lifetimes. I mean, reading, if you're having a hard family life, shows you that there are other types of families. And reading, if you're being bullied, shows you that there are places where you won't be bullied, or how to fight back, or how to report it. There's all kinds of stuff that reading does, and that music does. Music teaches discipline. It teaches working together. And I worry that in a world where we've got all these TV shows about becoming a star that make people feel like you have to have the right clothes, you have to have the right look, you have to have the right voice, people are forgetting that the purpose of music is joy.
That's great. How'd you learn how to play like you play? You play unbelievably well. Was it your dad?
Years and years and years and years.
Yeah, but you could sit there and play, but if you don't know what to play, you just get bad. You get good at being bad, but you're good at being good. How did you get like that?
I think that's just a talent you're born with. I was really lucky that I was born into a family that valued the talent and that it was encouraged. And I was lucky that because we could never have afforded good teachers, I was lucky that I was mostly a self-taught student, and that was part of the talent. But my partner, for instance, can't carry a tune to save her life, and yet we sing in the car all the time, and we have a great time.
Opposites attract.
But it's the Tiny Mouse. You did premiere it in Chicago at the American Library Association convention.
I did. I'm working a lot with libraries, and we make a lot of content free to libraries, and I encourage libraries to take the book, but also to send their little patrons online for all the free stuff. We have posters for libraries. I've always been a huge supporter of libraries. The East Orange Public Library changed my life, and Mrs. Anna Baker, who was the children's librarian there, changed my life, and we corresponded to the day she died a few years back.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's true. My first job was in the library as
Was it
well.
really?
Yeah. I was in
you.
high school. I was in the library. Learned every little nook and cranny and how to navigate it. And there's so much information. And I'm an avid believer. If you can read and you really enjoy reading, you can do anything because you can learn anything, any skill along the way.
That's a great way to put it. Good for you.
What's that?
I have no idea.
He's saying, like in the library, you have to be quiet. Shh. They tell you to be quiet in the
Well, it's
library.
good for you to practice being quiet once in a while.
That's how you learn, when you listen. When you
There's that great
listen.
Neil Gaiman quote, too. He said, Google can give you 10,000 answers, but a librarian will give you the right one.
There you go.
Oh, man. Hey, so the Tiny Mouse is available also besides your website on Amazon.com.
Absolutely.
And I like looking at Amazon because you get to see the people that purchased your book, review it, and everybody has positive things to say. And those are the regular people, not the critics. People say, I love this book. My niece, I bought one for my nephew. You are totally blessed with your talent.
Oh, thanks. I think I'm very fortunate. I really do.
What made you write?
As trite as that sounds.
Ender's World. Ender's World. Was that like the doorway to doing kids' books?
Wow, I read Ender's Game when it first came out, and Orson Scott Card is a good friend of mine, which you wouldn't think because he's a Mormon and he doesn't believe in gay marriage, and I'm a gay Jew, so there he is married. But I think it's important to remember that the world is a big place. And, I don't know, Ender's Game is not really a child's story.
That's right.
It's really an adult story with children, I think, anyway. Or a teenage story, maybe, a coming-of-age story. No, I was heavily influenced by books like A Wrinkle in Time, or when I was younger, Ping the Duck, and the Madeline books.
Oh, Madeline.
Edward Eager, stuff like that.
So, Janice, now that this book's out, and we're going to play a cut before, after you leave from the CD that comes with the book.
Oh, great.
Do you honestly, can you give us insight about what's on your horizon?
Right now I'm getting ready for this website auction, and then I'm taking most of next year and the year after to write a children's album and record it and hopefully do another couple of books, and to write a book of my own and to record my own next album. So that's enough to fill 2 years, I reckon. Easily.
Hey, when you go in the studio, do you play all the instruments yourself?
No. Oh, gosh, I'm a terrible bass player.
Really?
Worst drummer, yeah. No sense of time on the drums. Too complicated to use all 4 digits,
So that means you can't dance either then, right?
I can't dance. Actually, most musicians are terrible dancers.
Right?
Yeah.
That's
Can
true.
you dance?
No, I can't dance. I fall. I can fall.
I don't fall, but it unnerves me to dance. I'd much rather be playing.
And one of the brilliant things you said in this interview was what you said about the insight about the TV shows now, where the judges look at the people that are trying to be the next big talent, and they say, well, I don't like your look tonight, or you didn't have it tonight, or you picked a bad song. It discourages the new musicians to even try because, I got to be on that TV show to make it.
Right, I've already got to have all of those things going for me.
That's right.
And you've got to learn somewhere. And again, the additional piece of that is we don't want children growing up thinking that you have to be professional in order to sing. We want children growing up feeling like they can sing because it makes your stomach feel good, it makes your heart feel good, it makes your head feel good.
Isn't it true most of the great 50s singers came from church?
Yes, from churches and from back porches.
Yeah.
Where families would gather and sing. Most of the country artists come from that.
Amazing. Well, Janice...
I just don't want us to lose that, I just don't want us as a country to lose the sense that we can do and be anything, but it's okay not to be famous at it.
Just enjoy it. Take the music, feel it in your heart, and just spread joy, really, when you sing.
Absolutely.
Greta and I have been big fans of yours for a long time, and we always look at the New Jersey Pack schedule because we know Janice should be coming up. But anything live lately? No?
No, I've got exactly 2 shows booked for next year and a small tour in England with my friend Tom Paxton, and that's it. I really am going to try and stay home and do some writing.
What does somebody like Janis Ian do on New Year's Eve?
Hide. We managed to stay up last year until the ball dropped. We were kind of amazed. But it was in New York, so it was an hour ahead of Nashville.
Great. All right, there she is.
Not a big party person.
The great Janis Ian. We want to make sure we could squeeze in this cut from the CD.
Great. Well, thank you both so much.
The book is The Tiny Mouse. Google Janice. You'll see your website, and you'll be able to get the book and enjoy. And congratulations on your brand new Grammy, and, of course, everything that you've ever done. And thanks for all the happiness you've given millions and millions of ladies and men over the years.
Thanks.
Janis Ian, everybody, on WGHT.
And here is the CD from The Tiny Mouse, performed by Janis Ian.